All right. Now we're recording. And that is what I did because I can see it up in the bar now that I'm looking at it. All right. So I've got this. What was I saying? If it looks good, it will look good. If it looks bad, it will look bad. What it looks like in Photoshop is going to be pretty close to what it looks like in the end. When you're prepping files to go into InDesign, couple of things. First of all, when you're working, you're always going to work in RGB. When you're prepping them to go into a layout, you're going to do a couple of things. First of all, use your levels or your brightness and contrast, and please make sure that you adjust your image thinking about that about 10% gain that's going to happen on the page. So it's going to get a little bit darker. So if we can just brighten the image slightly for that, that will help. Second, convert to CMYK color. Make sure you should have it already set up. Once you set it up for US Web Coded, it should stay there. If this doesn't say US Web Coded, you can always reset that under color settings, which is under edit, I think. Yep, color settings. And US Web Coded. All right. So resolution is correct. I'm in CMYK mode. The last thing I'm going to do before I place things in is I'm going to save as. I'm going to save it into a to be placed folder. I'm going to make it what kind of file? TIFF. Good. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. LZW is fine. IBM will work on a Mac. So we'll go ahead and save that. So I have it the size that I want. I have it the required resolution is 300 at 100%. If you get it into InDesign and it's the wrong size, you can scale it for layout purposes, but before it can go to press, you have to make it the right size in Photoshop. All right? So we'll go ahead and say OK. And then the last thing I'm going to do when I'm ready to put this in here is I'm going to go ahead and sharpen my image. And I'm going to try to make this big enough that we can see it. So this is a hard one sometimes to show you on screen without overdoing it. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to Filter. I'm going to go to Sharpen. And I'm going to go to Unsharp Mask. And generally somewhere around 120, a good place to look in this image is going to be down in the rocky part because that will get over sharpened real quickly. A radius of about 1, a threshold of 7 is a real good starting point. And I can turn this on and off. You could also look at the surf. The idea is kind of like, if you've never had your eyes checked, you won't be able to relate to this. But when you get your eyes checked, they switch the little things to, like, is it clearer? Is it blurrier? Is it, you know, like that kind of thing? Is that you're kind of trying to put it into focus. So once you've got that close to where you want it to be, so there's before and there's after, you'll notice that just the surf and the rocks look a little bit more in focus. Then I can go ahead and say save. And now this main 109 master TIFF is ready to be placed into my layout. And so I can come into here and I can go to File and I can go to Place and I can go to this file and I can go to Open. And then I should be able to click near the outside of my screen and have my nice edge on that and come through here and be able to work with this as I need to. All right, so I could have a nice little intro paragraph here. I might even get rid of that and get rid of this. It's now going to flow it into here. And then now we're moving more towards what you were talking about, Sky, where I might take just this intro paragraph and try to get it to fit nicely here and then work my title into that. Right? Isn't that kind of what you were talking about? She's still here.
Oh, she went.
Okay.
She goes up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Okay. So, but you kind of get right where I'm headed with this. And then I can put in all of my other things like my headline and all of those sorts of things from there. All right. Now, the cover, very similar, except if you're using the traveler cover, how many of you are actually using the traveler headline? Raise your hand up high so I can see it. Just a couple. This is good practice, though, for any of you. When you are working, where are my layers here? When you are working with the traveler cover, it all is a bunch of connected layers. So there's a text layer so you can change the date and the time and all of that. You're using these layers in Photoshop. And then you're saving that file as a TIFF, eventually as a flattened CMYK sharpened TIFF, right? This way you have that complete flexibility to do with what you need. And then you can just go ahead and save this file. Cover one.